For most people, a big presentation will make them nervous, which makes them talk faster, which makes them forget some of their words, which makes them even more nervous. Does this cycle sound familiar? For others, they may be confident during their presentation, but they cram too much information into their presentation, so they speed up to get through it all. I'm sure you've sat through a presentation like this before. When you race through the presentation, it doesn't take long before your audience is confused and they lose the ability to gain any more value from your presentation, meaning they're likely to tune out. And let's be honest, rarely will anyone interrupt you to ask you to slow down in the middle of your presentation. No matter why you may speed ahead, you will be better able to persuade your audience by simply slowing down your speaking speed. Now, when I tell people to slow down, they're afraid they're going to end up sounding like this.
I am doing just
fine.
But don't worry, you won't sound like Flash. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 ways to slow down and pace yourself during a presentation. More on that coming up. Hi everyone, I'm Michelle, a co-founder of Lead with Words. We lead presentation trainings for large international organizations on how their people can present more clearly and more persuasively. Here, we create bite-sized professional development videos for you, busy, ambitious professionals. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Let's get right into 3 ways to help you slow down your speaking speed. Number 1, intentionally speak slower than you do in conversation. In a lively conversation with a friend on a familiar topic, you might be speaking twice as fast as you need to for a presentation with a diverse audience. This is especially true if the topic is new to your audience or the content is complex. You have to intentionally slow down your speed. It will feel a bit slow at first, but as you try it out and get feedback from your audience, you'll become more confident with your new, slower speed. Number 2, keep your content focused. Limit yourself to only what your audience needs to hear. By focusing your content, this will give you confidence to speak slower, knowing that you don't have to rush to get all the content in during the allotted time. In presentations, less is more. Check out this short video for more on that. Number 3, pause more. There are 5 key times to pause. 1, after sharing a key point or statistic. 2, after a complex idea or chart. 3, after you ask your audience a question. 4, to signal a transition from one point to the next. And 5, after each item in a list, like I just did. Pauses are powerful. They give your audience time to absorb your idea. Pausing is also a great time to look at the people you're speaking to and read their reaction. Look for nods, raised eyebrows, wide eyes, smiles, confused looks, and slightly open mouths combined with an inhale and slight raising in posture. And a pro tip, that last one often means a question is coming. If you're bad at naturally adding pauses, you can plan pauses into your presentation when creating the content. You can put a slash where you want to pause, or you can insert the word pause in block letters in your notes. Whatever you want to do that'll remind you to pause. Let's recap the 3 tips to speaking slower. Intentionally speak slower than you do in conversation. Keep your content focused and pause more. Each of these simple tips will enable you to communicate at your audience's digestion speed, and in turn, you will get through to your audience's minds. Now, I wanted to conclude with a personal story. In almost every single presentation training I've delivered, at least one person comments to me during a break that they love the speed at which I speak. My response is that I learned to speak like this when I was working at the United Nations in Santiago, Chile. And if you're familiar with Chilean Spanish, you'd know that Chileans speak extremely quickly and cut off the ends of their words. I was one of the few non-native Spanish speakers in my group of friends outside of work, and I had to constantly ask them to speak slower. It wasn't that I didn't know the words, it was simply that it was way too fast. As soon as they'd repeat the sentence for me slower, I would understand. Now that I live in China and communicate with non-native English speakers on a regular basis, I make sure to think about my audience and speak at a slower pace to ensure I'm clearly understood the first time around. I hope this example gives you another dimension into understanding the importance of speaking at a speed at which your audience can fully digest what you're saying. Thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, we always appreciate it when you share it with your friends and colleagues. And we will see you in the next video.